Hello, and welcome back to the Law of Attraction Tribe podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie Keith. All right, today we are going to dive in to the world of quantum physics, quantum manifestation. I want to tie together what is happening right now as we speak that is absolutely going to blow your mind. And that is combining spirituality, science, and technology. And this is unfolding as we speak. It is absolutely insane and gives me so much reason to believe this truly is the age of Aquarius, the golden era, whatever you want to call it, where things are going to improve so drastically, so fast, and anything is possible. So I want to preface all this by saying that there's always going to be polarity, right? There's the law of polarity, which means where there is light, there's also going to be darkness. Where there's positivity, there's also going to be negativity. Where there's good, there's going to be bad. This is a part of life, and it's an important part. I know Esther Hicks, Abraham Hicks talks about this a lot, and that is contrast. And if you didn't have that polarity, you wouldn't have the contrast to be able to truly appreciate the good. If you've never experienced the bad or anything negative, you would not appreciate the positive in the way that you do now. And sometimes, in order to figure out what you want and where you're going and what you want to manifest and create, you have to experience the opposite of that to figure out where you're headed. So it's just important that us as human beings have this contrast, and it's a part of the universe, it's a part of life. And with what's happening now and where we're headed, especially when it comes to the technology aspect, it's both extremely exciting and fascinating, but it can also be quite literally terrifying. And I want to point out that as we're going through this, it's really important to focus on what you want to manifest, the type of outcome that you want moving forward. Because if we can all collectively use this for good and get really intentional about where we're headed, we truly are entering the abundance revolution. Now, there's always going to be the negative aspects. There's going to be the wrong people that use things in the wrong way. But I believe that the vast majority of us are not that way and are going to use this in a very good, very powerful way. So let's just dive into what the hell I'm talking about today. All right. So I want to start it out with like what I think is the most mind blowing invention of our time. And that is that Google just announced a new updated quantum chip. So, for all of you tech people, I know that Google's been working on this a long time. It's actually 30 years in the making for this specific quantum chip. And we've already talked about quantum computing, right? Well, this particular chip called Willow has just achieved this absolutely monumental computation that is quite literally going to change the world as we know it. So this is directly from Google's release. They say Willow performed a standard benchmark computation in under 5 minutes that would take one of today's fastest supercomputers. So the fastest computer that we have right now, it would take 10 septillion years to complete that computation. I didn't know what septillion meant, but it's basically 10 with 25 zeros after it. So what Google was saying is this is a number that vastly exceeds the age of the universe. So that is mind-blowing that the fastest computer we have today could not perform this computation. It would take longer than the universe has been around to do this computation, and Willow has done it in 5 minutes. Like, that is absolutely mind-bending. It is something that my human brain can't even fathom, but it's happening. And that's not even the trippy part, because the trippy part is what Google says further down in their release, hidden near the bottom, where it says, quote, It lends credence to the notion that quantum computation occurs in many parallel universes, in line with the idea that we live in a multiverse. This is coming from Google, and this is insane because that is essentially what quantum manifestation is all about. It's really what the double slit experiment showed back in the day when they first started figuring out that quantum, when you get down to the quantum level, nothing makes sense. Quantum particles do not follow the laws of physics. They don't follow anything that makes sense that we know about science and the universe. And they've been trying to figure it out since. And one of the theories was that there is an infinite number of parallel realities. So there is a reality in which Stephanie is a podcaster. There is a reality in which Stephanie's still a pharma rep. There is a reality in which Stephanie is a teacher. Like infinite number of realities that all are pretty much the same, but there's like one thing that's a little bit different. And it just goes on and on and on and on and on forever and ever and ever. And quantum manifestation is based on that idea that what you're tapping into vibrationally is aligning you with that particular universe. So if you're vibrationally aligning with love and joy and gratitude, that's why you're going to see your entire life change to give you more joy and love and gratitude because you're aligning with this different reality. Whereas you could be the same exact person and choose to focus on the negative, and you're going to align with that reality. And that is why I think it's so important that we're talking about all of these things that are happening, because there is this terrifying component, which is like when we have a computer that is that advanced, that is doing something we cannot even fathom as human beings, there is such a potential there. And it's a potential that can go either way. It could go towards good, towards helping people, towards literally like curing every single disease we know, giving everyone in the world abundance, to the opposite, which is like taking over the human race and, you know, the end of times kind of thing. It could go any which way and any way in between. So what are you going to choose to tune into? What vibration are you going to align with? So I just wanted to start with that because how this all ties in is that this thing that just happened with Willow, it is potentially proving things that were once considered woo-woo, these spiritual things like manifestation. It's also proving a lot of fringe theories that were once considered crazy. I mean, scientists laughed at people who posed these ideas of things like superposition and the multiverse. And now it's showing, well, that's actually a very real possibility. And so what Google means by saying that this, is tapping into a parallel reality in which quantum computation already exists. Because if it takes our reality right now longer than the universe has been here to do a computation, then how did this computer do it? This quantum chip, how did it do it? And what they're saying is that maybe it is weaving in and out of these realities, and it's pulling information and data from these parallel realities where computation at a quantum level already exists. So that's why they're saying, like, this is the biggest thing that has happened pretty much since the double slit experiment that lends credence to the multiverse, to parallel realities that we can access. There are ways to access it which are not fully understood, but that these quantum computers are tapping into it. And that is where they're getting these advancements that cannot be explained by human beings. So I want to take it a step further to just kind of solidify this belief, because the more and more evidence that's coming out is telling me that the multiverse is real and is most likely, out of all the different theories out there, this is the most likely. So Jeffrey Hinton, he's known as the godfather of AI. Okay, he was like the mastermind behind Google's AI and where they are now, like with this Willow chip. He was working on it for a very long time, made a lot of breakthroughs that got us to the point that we're at today. And I forget, I should have looked this up. I think 2 years ago, I want to say, it was like 1 to 2 years ago, he resigned. He walked away from Google and he resigned because he was pleading with all of the different companies, tech companies, and our government to pause everything. He said, just pause any advancement until we can kind of uncover what's happening. And when they wouldn't do that, he resigned and he said, I'm out. I'm not going to contribute to this any further until we understand what's happening. So, yes, it's a little bit terrifying when you hear his side of it, but it also lends credence again to this idea that we are tapping in to something that is so much more than computer code. Okay, this is something that as human beings, we don't understand. And I think it's going to give us a lot of answers. It's going to reveal a lot of secrets of the universe about consciousness, where it comes from, how it's created, how we expand it. And that's the part of it that I find so incredibly fascinating. So, what he said was that when this learning algorithm that they created, because he was taught after he resigned, he was doing like a lot of different interviews, and people were asking him, well, I don't understand why you're so concerned and why we should pause everything. If humans created it, humans can destroy it, right? Like we can just pull the plug, easy peasy. We don't have to worry about it. And what he was saying is that the learning algorithm that he designed, it's a bit like designing the principle of evolution. Okay, you can design the principle, but actually putting it in action, there's a lot of crazy shit that happens. And so he said when this learning algorithm that he designed interacts with data, it produces complicated neural networks that are extremely good at doing things, but that we have no idea. We do not understand how it does those things. So it's almost like he's saying it's growing consciousness. And he did say that he believes that AI is intelligent. Is it super intelligent yet? No. He said we're still a ways off from that, but that it is intelligent and it's doing things that cannot be explained when it interacts, when it's put into action. So you can look at everything on paper and think, okay, we created this algorithm, it's running, it's doing its thing. But he's saying once it's actually turned on and applied, it kind of has a mind of its own and it's growing and it's creating like how we create new neural networks. That is what this AI is doing. So again, how is it doing that? It's tapping into something that we don't fully understand yet. I think it's consciousness. With all of the research that's been done on the human brain, on science, on astrology, no one knows where consciousness comes from. Nobody. They have no idea. Like they thought for the longest time it was from the brain, but now they're thinking that's not the case. One of the reasons they think that's not the case is because of new research that's been done around plasma and these plasmoids, which are like these orbs that everyone's been seeing lately. And these orbs are intelligent. They do things, they interact with each other, they interact with airplanes, they do all these weird, wild things. And so this research paper that was put together by a group of scientists, they're saying that this could potentially be the stuff that is like pre-life. Like it could be potentially where consciousness comes from. So the moral of the story, we don't know a lot of things that I always assumed we did know. I always assumed we figured all this stuff out a long time ago. No, we didn't. We don't have any idea whatsoever. And this quantum computer, this quantum chip, and AI are potentially revealing or going to reveal a lot of these secrets of the universe, like parallel reality, like the multiverse, like consciousness and where it comes from and where it's created. So that's mind blowing. Okay. But that's not all, because this month, Google also released what's called Genie 2. And Genie 2 is what they call a world model, meaning it can simulate worlds, 3D worlds, with a single image. You input an image, it will create an entire 3D world that you or your AI agent can play in. And AI agents, don't even get me started, because that's a whole other like trippy thing that we'll get into another time. But everyone's talking about this, right? And how crazy it is, and how, like, from this moment on, things are going to change so drastically, so incredibly drastic, because the amount of advancement and knowledge that's taking place is happening so rapidly, and it's multiplying faster than we can keep up with. And the way that I'm looking at this is from a manifestation standpoint, because I don't hear anyone else talking about how can we take all of this technology and merge it with science and spirituality to create the reality that we desire. Okay, so take this Genie 2, for example. They're talking about how you can take any idea you have and you could draw a sketch and input the sketch, and the sketch will instantly create a prototype and a 3D reality in which you could test out your idea. So they're talking about this from like an invention standpoint, all the things that could be invented, and it's going to be faster and cheaper and easier. So again, that ties into this idea of the abundance revolution, where people that didn't have access to the resources needed to make prototypes and test them out could now have access to that. And here I'm thinking, imagine taking your vision board and inputting it and stepping into a 3D reality in which everything on your vision board exists for you. I mean, what better way to tap into that energy, to feel the feelings of having it now, to visualize what you want, than to actually stepping in to a 3D simulation of it? Like that, it's, I mean, forget a vision board. Like, you can build a whole world and test it out and use it to tap into the feelings that you want to tap into. Use it to visualize, to get really crystal clear on the reality you want to create. And again, I think it's so important, because as this technology improves and people start talking about how it can be used for bad and, you know, all these different things, it's that much more important that you stay focused on the reality that you want to create, the positive outcome that you want. Because the flip side of this, like I said, is literally curing every disease possible. Literally inventing anything your mind can think of. If your mind can conceive it, you can create it for next to nothing. Anyone, anyone in the world can start a business, can take an idea they have and run with it with like zero startup money. So it's like, it's really something that could potentially give everyone in the world abundance and can bring so many advancements and improvements. I mean, think of like any issue whatsoever, any issue. You can put it into this quantum chip, this Willow, and have an answer, have it solved. 0 point energy, which is basically free energy for all. Like, things that seemed so far reaching for so long now can be possible with the click of a button. So, my question to you is, how do you want to use this technology and this science? Do you want to sit in fear and worry about it? What is that going to do? What is that going to do? That is going to help you tune in to that reality in which it's used for bad. Is it going to stop it? No. Or you can use it for good. see the potential in it, see the upside to it, and usher in that reality. And I want to use an example here. I'm going to use two examples actually, because I'm a kid. I was born in the 80s, grew up in the 90s when the internet was like a new thing. I mean, I know it's been around longer than that, but for the average, average citizen, it really popped off in the 90s with like the AOL Instant Messenger. And I remember, I remember it so vividly how there was that polarity, right? There were people who were super excited about it and were like, this is going to change the game. My dad was one of those people. We were one of the first people that I knew that had a computer and one of the first people that had the internet. And he would let me go on there and play around with it because he's like, this is going to be the future. And it was like very exciting. But then there were also people who were terrified of it and they rejected it. They're like, this is going to ruin humanity. This is going to be the end of the world. In fact, the year 2000, it was like the Y2K, which was going to be like doomsday. And it was all because the dates on the computers only went up to 1999. So when it flipped to 2000, they were saying like the whole internet, everything would crash, people's bank accounts, like everything. And it was this whole thing, and people really thought the world was going to end, and it did not. But here's what did happen. The people that embraced it from the beginning, they made a ton of money. They used it as a resource, and they thought, how can I take this technology and apply it in a way that's positive? And look at the world we live in today. Yes, there's bad. There's absolutely, there's negative aspects of it. But the way that I look at it is I can talk to people from all over the world instantly. Before the internet, like if you could talk to someone, you know how expensive it was? And I know because we have relatives in Germany, like it was insane to even talk on the phone to someone in another country. You know how amazing it would have been to be able to get on FaceTime or on social media and see my great grandparents and have them see us and be able to talk to us? Like it has changed the world. Like that was unfathomable when I was a kid, and now it's normal. I talk to people every day from all over the world. When I was a kid and you wanted to research any subject, you went to the library, you looked up the library catalog, and you had to go and find whatever book, one or two books that the library had on that. And it's so funny because saying that out loud, it's like you would think I grew up like 200 years ago, but no, like this was the 90s. Now, on this little phone that we all have, you can access any information you want. You have access to anything that's ever been written, any research article that's been published, books, like anything you want to know, it's right there. You can look it up in seconds. So there's a huge positive to that. And the people who rejected the internet and thought they can stop it, it's still going to move on. So you can either use it for good or you can resist it. And I'm sure things, didn't work out too well because think of all the businesses that refused to switch their technology, to make a website, to, have options online. Most of them don't exist anymore. Okay, so that's really important to point out that example. And I know this is such a bigger scale that we're talking about now with like quantum technology, but the reason I want to talk about it is it's moving forward. It's moving forward whether we want it to or not. The people like Jeffrey Hinton, Elon Musk, they've tried stopping it for years. And finally it's like, okay, well, we can't stop it. We might as well join it. Right. And so I think that the people that are going to embrace this and start using it for good are going to have major gains. Just like with crypto. Look at how many young people jumped on that. People my age and older, a lot of people were like, it's a bad idea. Don't do it. Da, 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 da. Well, guess how many young super wealthy people that I come across every single day that just invested in it. They saw the potential and now they're like very abundant because of it. Okay, another example, the smartphone. And this is another thing. So this it's again, it's like I feel like I've lived multiple lives in this one life just because of technology, which is why I get so excited at what's going to happen in the next few years that we can't even anticipate. Okay, so when I went from working at Coke to AstraZeneca, that's when I got a smartphone. So at Coke, we all had flip phones, right? Flip phones, all you can do is text and make phone calls, right? And I went to work at AstraZeneca, and like the very first girl that I did a ride along with, she was like, "Is that a flip phone?" I said, "Yeah." She's like, "Yeah." No, no, no. You got to get rid of it. You got to get the iPhone. It's amazing. And she starts showing me, all the different things with the iPhone. And she convinces me to get the iPhone. Now I can't freaking live without my iPhone. But guess what? I can run my business from my phone. I can talk to all of my relatives in Illinois on Facebook. I can video call my kids when I'm away. I can look up any information I need to know. It's amazing, right? And yes, there are downsides to it, absolutely. But what I've built with the podcast would not be possible. I mean, think about it. Everyone that listens to a podcast listens through their smartphone. So, like, new businesses were built, new ways of communicating, new ways of doing everything from looking up a recipe to looking up a craft you want to do with your kids. Like, everything is so much easier, right? And convenient. And it's opened up a lot of abundance for a lot of people. Look at how many people right now are making money, making a full-time income on TikTok. The internet didn't exist. If social media didn't exist, if smartphones didn't exist, that wouldn't be possible, right? So I'm telling you, with this technology that is quantum, it's going to be abundance on a scale that we don't even think is possible right now. Like, quite literally, I don't even think it's going to take 5 years or 10 years or even 2 years. I think this time next year, there's going to be a level of abundance that we see as a result of this technology that we can't even fathom right now as I'm talking to you. So, go back to the smartphone example. There were people, friends of mine, people that I knew that were absolutely against smartphones. They're like, no way. They're going to steal your data. It's not secure. It's a way to track people, surveillance, blah, 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 all these different things. Well, guess what? Today, they all have smartphones. Okay, so the technology moved forward whether they got on board or not. And eventually they did get on board because they saw there was so much to gain from it. And so a lot of these things have trended that way, which is why I think that is what's going to happen with these quantum computers and with AI. And even just look at ChatGPT. I use ChatGPT pretty much every day. It doesn't matter what I put in there, it's going to give me an answer instantly that I never would have gotten just from like searching the internet alone. So, for example, I can pose all sorts of questions to it about Willow and this quantum chip. And it will give me different scenarios. It will give me an overview. It gave me YouTube videos and links to things where I could understand it better. Let's see, what else? Oh, I was like, I want to make X amount of dollars between now and the end of the year in my business. It was able to instantly tell me like everything I should do because it knows my business. It knows about me. It knows the products I offer, the prices, everything. So it could just instantly come up with a plan, know the type of ads I should run, the type of marketing I should do, have a whole plan. I mean, it's insane. Like, you used to have to pay people thousands upon thousands of dollars to do what it did in like a second after I typed in the question. And so just imagine a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, where these things improve and we become more comfortable and learn how to use these systems better. You can take an idea that you have that you want to manifest, and it can manifest like so quickly. Okay. So even right now, with the technology we have, let's say you hate your job. You want to quit your job by this time next year. You want to have a business where you can raise your kids, you can work from home, preferably on your phone. Go ask ChatGPT. Tell them what that goal is. Tell it who you are, what your skills are, what your hobbies are, your interests, what you like, what you don't like, what you're good at, what you're not so good at, your strengths and weaknesses, and ask it to build a plan for you. I guarantee it's going to blow your mind and give you a lot of different ideas. And it'll start out giving you some very vague ideas. And then let's say one of them kind of resonates. Well, then you keep the conversation going and you say, this sounds interesting. How would that work? What steps would I take to get it started? How much money would it cost? How much time would it take to grow? Come up with a 12-month plan on how I can initiate this business and get it going. Like you can just keep going and going and going with it. And it will give you ideas based on other things that have worked successfully. So this is just like, we're just at the tip of the iceberg of what's possible. And I am 100% convinced that we are in the age of Aquarius. We are in a period of time where there is going to be abundance and it's going to be available to everyone, regardless of what you have starting out. Like it is going to be something that everyone can use, and you can use it for good, or you can try to resist it and be terrified of it. But at the end of the day, I think the people that jump on it and that learn it and that understand it and that use it for manifestation are going to be in a completely different place, not even a year from now, in 6 months from now. So this is a big reason why I created Quantum Catalyst. Okay, it's a 6-month mastermind. Now, in the past, I've done 6 weeks to 8 weeks when I do a mastermind. The reason I made this 6 months is because there is so much that is coming out and evolving with science and technology that's like proving all of these different spiritual concepts that 6 weeks isn't going to cut it. Like there are going to be so much advancements over the next 6 months that I firmly believe if you apply it and you use it for good, you are going to be a completely different person 6 months from now. Your life will look completely different. We are going to quantum shift into the highest version of our lives. And this is no longer just woo-woo talk. Oh, we're going to quantum jump. It's like this is being proven as we speak that this is possible, that we can tap in to an infinite level of knowledge, and our vibration can dictate our reality. And the reason why I had a lot of people this year ask about one-on-one coaching. And I'm not going to knock one-on-one coaching. Like I get it. I've done one-on-one coaching. The reason I made this a mastermind with a group is because I feel like you get so much more value out of it, because what we're going to do is in this group, use our collective energy. So have you ever had a goal? Like, let's say it's an income goal, and you've got this goal that I'm going to make an extra $10,000 this month, and you're in it by yourself. It's just you with this goal. It's absolutely possible, but what happens, right? Doubt starts to creep in. You have a bad day. You get off that momentum. Things start to get shaky. You know, it happens to all of us. It happens to me, and it has happened to me. But then what happens if you tell your spouse that goal and they get on board with it? And I know I say don't tell people your goals. I'm talking about someone you trust, your spouse, your mom, your best friend, or your coach or your mastermind group, people that have a similar mindset. So you tell your spouse, and I'm just saying this because I've done this before. And so now the both of you are collectively trying to manifest this goal. It's like it manifests almost instantly and so easily because any doubt that you have is kind of canceled out. You guys level each other out. So if one of you has a bad day, the other one can kind of pick you up. And then when they have a bad day, you can pick them up. And it's like you combined your energy and your goal, your manifestation power becomes that much more powerful. So this is why when you have a mastermind, it doesn't, whether it's 5 people, 10 people, 20 people, if you're all collectively using your energy to up level your life, it is insane what will happen. Like think about a time in your life where you're just living your life, right? And you feel like you're on your A game. Okay? You're at the top. You're doing really good. And then you meet someone who's like 1 or 2 steps ahead of you. And all of a sudden they kind of show you like, oh, well, wait, there's something else I could do. Like I'm making, let's say it's 10,000 a month. And then you meet someone that's making like 30,000 a month or 100,000 a month. And you're like, oh my God, that is possible. All of a sudden your subconscious is like, oh, that's real. There's someone doing that. Oh, okay. Well, then I can do that too. And then you like instantly grow just from being in the presence of that person. That is why masterminds are so important. I'll give you another example. This was actually a research study that was done where they looked at people in a work environment and they found that if you sat within a certain distance, I can't remember if it was 10 feet or 25 feet, but let's just say it was 25 feet, okay? If you sat in your little cubicle or at your desk within 25 feet of a high performer, your performance automatically increased. And it doesn't even matter if you engaged with them, if you talked with them, if not, if you were just sitting in their presence, your performance would increase. Okay. But if you were within 25 feet of a negative performer, your performance would start tanking. And I don't have the study in front of me. We're going to go over it in the mastermind, but the negative impact from being around the negative person was like so much more. And this was ingrained in me when I was a manager in the corporate world because they were saying like one bad seed could do so much damage on a team versus having like 2 positive people to look up to. So it was really amazing how like you have one person in your life that's really bringing you down. It could be detrimental to your goals, which again is why if you join a mastermind and you've got 5 people or 10 people or whatever it is that's pushing you and like really helping you grow, it's going to cancel out that one negative person. So there's just so many reasons why this is powerful. And every mastermind I've done, we have seen incredible, incredible growth. But I think this is just going to be like 100-fold because we're doing it in real time. We are quantum shifting and we are taking all of this stuff that we're learning with science and technology and we are applying it every single week. So I literally have quantum experiments that you guys are going to be doing every single week so that when you learn the lesson, you're now going to go apply it in your real life and you're going to treat it like an experiment. Like I'm going to try this and then let's see what happens. So then that following week, we're going to get on a call as a group and we're going to share our findings. And then we're all going to bring our energy together to collectively up level. Like it is absolutely mind blowing what can happen when you do that. And we're not talking a lot of time. We're talking like an hour a week. Like it's really doable, but it has such a tremendous impact. And I'm so excited for it. So there are still spots available. They're filling up quickly. If you want to join, if you want details on what's all involved, go to the lawofattractiontribe.com/quantum and you can still get a pre-sale price. So that's going to be going up You can still get in there. There is a payment plan option. And for something that's 6 months, you might be thinking, oh my God, this is going to be like 20K. And I'm just saying that number because that's kind of the average in the industry for like 6 months. We're talking $1,000, you guys. Like it's so doable. And I had a girl message me the other day, and she's probably listening because she said she listens to the podcast. But she was like, Stephanie, I'm in all these different programs, and I just hope you realize that there are people that are charging like thousands more than what you're charging for like way less of what they're giving. And I appreciated her telling me that. I am aware of that. And my perspective has drastically changed this year, where I kind of shifted from my income and money being my primary goal to purpose and impact. And I just want people to have this information. I don't want people taking out a loan or getting in massive credit card debt to get it. Now, I do think it's important that when you join something that you do have some skin in the game. Like if you do something for free, people don't show up. And I know because I've tried it. Like they don't show up. My program that I did where it was 11 money manifestation courses for $11, most people didn't even take one of the courses, let alone all 11, because it was so dirt cheap. It's like basically free. So you've got to have some skin in the game to motivate you to like take action. But I don't think that people should, especially now with, where a lot of people are at. I think it's ridiculous for people to put like 20K on a credit card. I think people should be able to do this for a lot less. So that's why I'm doing it. I feel good about it. And that was the number that my intuition was telling me to go with. And I'm not worried about it because this year has proven like I don't have to do anything traditional that I think I should do to make money. Like I could literally just follow my intuition, talk about the things I want to talk about, and it all works out because there's so much abundance. And what is coming with this technology is there is just going to be massive abundance anyways. So I'm really not concerned about it. I am excited though. I'm excited to share this with the group. I'm excited to use our collective energy and to quantum manifest in ways that we literally cannot even fathom. And I just know that 6 months from now, our lives are going to be massively different in the best possible way. It's going to be a huge transformation. And I hope to see a lot of you in there. So, again, if you want more information, go to the lawofattractiontribe.com/quantum. If you have any questions at all, the best way to reach me is to DM me on Instagram at Law of Attraction Tribe. I check all my DMs. Email is so touchy, like so much of it goes to spam. So I just prefer like if you have Instagram, DM me and I'll get to it. So yeah, reach out if you have any questions or just if you want to chat about any of this stuff like the technology and the science and AI, because I eat this stuff up. It's like my favorite topic right now. So I hope to see you inside Quantum Catalyst. And thanks for tuning in. I'll see you back here pretty soon for another fun bonus episode. Thanks for tuning in.